Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Office Hours here at Work It Daily. My name is JT. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks. My colleague Ariella has been hosting. Isn't she awesome? Double thumbs up. She's fantastic. So you'll be seeing more of her as we share Office Hours. So today's Office Hours is going to be special subject. It is going to be all about personal branding. So I know that we usually talk about job search and other things here every week, but today, in honor of the fact that we at Work It Daily have launched a brand new online class all around personal branding, I want to take this time to talk with all of you about how incredibly important it is to the success of your career, your job search, your career change, whatever you have going on when it comes to work. Today, brand or be branded. You must have a personal brand. And don't tell me that you don't think you need one, or that you're just going to shy away from that personal branding thing altogether, because brand or be branded means you're still sending a message. You have a brand, whether you think you do or not. And by not taking control of your brand, as we're going to talk about today, and thinking about it intentionally, you're still sending a message. Messages like, I'm not tech savvy or sophisticated enough as a professional to have a brand. That's not a good message. You could be sending the message that there is absolutely nothing valuable about the work that I do. That's not a good message. Who's going to hire you? Or the third, hey, I've got something to hide. That's the worst message you could be sending. And yet when you choose not to take ownership of your brand, that's what you're doing. You're still sending messages. So I'm really excited to talk about this subject today. I know my team is going to share with you the link to the online class. And today, up through today, the course is available at a huge discount. You get $50 off the class if you sign up today. You'll go over, you'll see it. That's not going to be there as of tomorrow. That's how this is going to work. So if you're interested and you're here today and you realize you need personal branding, this would be the time to take advantage of the course. You're going to get it at the best possible rate. Okay. So let's talk about this idea of personal branding. Who does personal branding? Everybody does personal branding. I guarantee you, the most successful person you know. Let's play a game. Let's have everybody that's attending the chat here today think of a person, a professional person who you admire, that you would love your career to be like. Even if your career was 1/10 like their career, who would it be? Think of somebody that comes to mind. And I want to see what you put in there for answers. So make sure that you share those with me. Who are some of the people that, from a professional standpoint, you're really impressed? Okay, think about that. All right, Dan McCarthy, shout out, thank you. Jeff Bezos. Okay, let's talk about Jeff Bezos' brand. Has anybody on this chat spent time personally with Jeff Bezos? Have you spent hours upon hours hanging out with him? You barbecue with him and the family? Probably not. I don't think anybody here is in close proximity to Jeff Bezos, right? It's just probably the odds. Yet I'm pretty sure if I ask you all to describe Jeff Bezos, you can do that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Everybody pick one or two adjectives you would use to describe Jeff Bezos. That's it. One or two. I don't need a long thing. Just a couple of words, right? When you think Jeff Bezos, for those of you that don't realize who he is the founder and CEO of Amazon. Okay. When you think of that, what do you think of? So I've already got some answers here. Visionary. Driven, focused, smart, brilliant, smart. Okay, we've got two for smart already. What else? Focus. I got a second focus. Routine. I think that's focus. Innovative. Okay, so think about that for just a second here. All of you were able to start to articulate what you think Jeff Bezos is like, even though you haven't met him. That, my friends, is personal branding. It's really important that somebody, certainly at his level, have a personal brand and control it. Because if his personal brand spirals out of control, he's going to lose the trust and respect of what? Not just his employees, his customers, his vendors, his partners. It's really important that somebody like him think about his brand and be transparent about it. Let's take another example because I want everybody to think about this. So I saw some other people here. Gary Vee. How many of you, Frank Awards, but Gary Vee, the ultimate brand machine. Does everybody know who Gary Vee is? Gary Vaynerchuk. He started Wine Library TV, huge social media guru, trying to become wealthy enough to buy a New York sports team. He lives in New York. Do we all know him? Okay. So let's talk about Gary Vee then. For those of you that know who he is, give me some adjectives to describe Gary Vee. Most of us probably have never met him. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him. But if you were to talk about Gary Vee, Jana says she loves him. Great, Jana. So again, describe Gary Vee to me. He's the ultimate brander. If anybody wants to see what personal branding looks like on steroids, it's Gary Vee. Energetic. I agree with you. That is absolutely the first thing that comes to mind for me. His energy, his intensity, I got intense. His passion, right? His desire to motivate. You can just tell that like he just wants to motivate everyone, Determination, no fluff. That's another good thing. Yeah. So again, how did we get this interpretation of him? By him choosing to take ownership of his personal brand and be really transparent about it. And I think we could go on and on here. I see another one from Edgar, Michael Jordan. Let's do one more because, who doesn't love Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan. When we think of Michael Jordan, what are some words that come to mind? Everyone share those with me. Last round of this game, and then I'm going to get into this about you, right? What do we think of when we think of Michael Jordan? Tell me. By the way, it's 98 degrees here today, so I hope you don't mind me drinking my iced tea. Tennis shoes. Dedicated. Yeah, see that, Anne? I'm with you. Calm, polite. Keith, great one. See, now these are totally different people. There's Gary Vee, energy, wow, wow. There's Michael Jordan, calm, polite. Hardworking, determined, perseverance. This is great, you guys. What you're doing here is fantastic. You're getting it. So what I'm proving to you is that lots of super successful people have recognized that they are a brand. They are a business of one. And that they have some sense of control over how that brand is perceived. Now, that being said, the reason these particular people are so successful and why their personal brands are so good and spot on and original for them is because they didn't make them up. We hear this term authentic. It gets batted around all the time in personal branding. And I kind of cringe when I hear it, but I have to use it too because I can't think of a better word than real, authentic, accurate. What we tell people and what we teach you in our personal branding class is that you don't create a personal brand, you reveal it. It already exists. All of you already have a personal brand. It's just that not a lot of people know about it. And that's mainly because you're not famous like Michael Jordan or Gary Vee or, Jeff Bezos. But you don't have to be famous to have a personal brand that can have a complete impact on your career. In fact, if you think about what we teach you here at Work It Daily, you are a business of one. You are a brand. And getting to a place where people you meet know what your brand is, what your value is, how you solve problems and alleviate pain, what you're passionate about. That's important because that's when they start to build an emotional connection to your brand, to you as a professional. That's when they get to a point where they feel like they know you and they trust you and they want to work with you. So you ever know those people that in your career, in your space, they just seem to always be in the right place at the right time and the right opportunities fall in their lap? That's not luck. That's branding. That's what they're doing. Really smart professionals understand that branding is something you do nonstop, whether you have your dream job right now or not, whether you're working full-time or not. Personal branding is something that always has to be maintained, right? You have to tend to it like a garden. And if you do, you can grow it in the exact direction and reap the rewards that you want. And in this case, it's things like, having employers reaching out to you, being seen as a thought leader, getting special partnerships, special engagements, just having influence over people, getting people to see things your way. That comes from investing in your personal brand. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. So, I don't care if you're actively looking for a job, changing careers, in a job that you love, whatever your career situation is, it doesn't matter how healthy or unhealthy it is in terms of you're really happy or you're really unhappy. No matter what, personal brand plays some factor. in that. And the stronger and the clearer and the better and the more compelling that personal brand is, the more quickly things will align for you. So it's worth it. It's really worth it. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and see if we have any questions regarding personal branding. So really, really important that we do that. I also want to give some shout outs here. We've got lots of people on here today, and I love that you guys are going to help us get to 100 likes. That's fantastic. Give a big congratulations to Michael. Michael got an assistant director job following the advice at Work It Daily. That's what we want to hear, right? Getting people dream jobs one person at a time. That's fantastic. I love what people are doing here. So Keith says, I'm passionate, intense, and high energy. Some people feel uncomfortable with my style. Okay, so let's talk about that. That's not a question, Keith, but I think that's a good jumping off point. People are always going to be uncomfortable with your style. For those of you that haven't taken our interaction style assessment test, it's one of the many tools that we have inside our Work It Daily platform, but you can actually take that one test for free. Go over to workitdaily.com/ISAT. You'll find out there's 4 different styles, communication styles: energizer, empathizer, commander, and contemplator. And it's very normal for your polar opposite to feel uncomfortable around your style. So if you're a super high energy person, those individuals that are more reserved, less energy, less hand gestures, may appear to you like they're uncomfortable, right? And it is because they're having a hard time keeping up with you. Whereas opposed to the people that are used to your energy are fine. That's not going to change. No one is saying that you should change your energy level. Your energy level is what works for you. It's what makes you who you are. Understanding and recognizing when somebody might be overwhelmed by the energy, that is smart emotional intelligence. And going on the offensive, because the best defense is a good offense, by saying, look, just know I'm a higher energy person, but I totally understand. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed. And if I'm going too fast or if I'm too intense, wiggle your nose or give me a sign, because I certainly don't want to be overwhelming. I just can't help myself. I get really excited. When someone diffuses by just talking about who they are and what they are, that's branding. That's branding. On the flip side, I've had some people say, GJT, I get misinterpreted because I'm really serious and I'm a contemplator. I really focus. And so when I'm listening to sometimes my face goes blank and I get this kind of resting crabby face, but I'm really just listening intently. What do I do? And he said, you go on the offensive. That's branding. You say, hey, just want you to know, I tend to listen really intensely. Sometimes I get resting crabby face. I don't want you to think that I'm upset or anything's going on. Just know that I'm concentrating. When we help people understand who we are, they will accept us. It's when they get this curveball, when they get something about us that they don't understand and hasn't been explained to them, that the misinterpretation starts, that they fall back into patterns, that they make judgments or misjudgments about us. So that phrase, I'll say it one more time today, the best defense is a good offense. Being able to be transparent about your brand, revealing who you are and saying, this is who I am, is important. Now, you just want to add one little thing by saying that, is that it's important for you to be telling people, hey, this is who I am, but not in a way that says, this is who I am, deal with it, right? You want to say, this is who I am, help me. If there's something I can do to make this better for you, let me know. That's very different than, hey, I am who I am, and you better just deal with it, right? Think that through. So that's not what I'm proposing here. What I'm saying is you're explaining yourself and opening up the conversation for that person to let you know if there's something you can do to make it easier for them to connect with you, to earn their trust. Okay? So, all right, let's take some questions here. I've got one from Demetrius. How do you brand yourself when doing a career change? Yeah, let's talk about this. So, when we make a career change, it's really important, and I've done some videos on this, all about signaling, about lane changing. You've got to let people know you're going to do the lane change, because if you're an underwater basket weaver and you want to become a skydiver, and you just start applying to skydiver jobs and your whole resume says underwater basket weaver, nobody's going to respond to you. So you've got to be able to explain to people that transition about why you want to get into skydiving. My guess is that you have some skills from underwater basket weaving. I don't know, holding your breath, something like that. Whatever the case may be, that is transferable. Somehow you mentally have connected to the dots. You've come to the realization through some set of experiences or research or whatever, that this is the new career that you want to go in. Well, that has to reveal itself to the world. And that's not going to happen on a resume because unfortunately, resumes are a bit limited in the fact that we only put down what we've done, not what we want to do. So where we're able to reveal that and tell that personal branding story is in something like a cover letter. And that's one of the techniques we teach at Work It Daily. It's called a disruptive cover letter, where we share our story in a way that captivates them and holds their attention and gets them to understand. But it's also the stories that we tell when we go out and we meet people. And we say, I'm looking to make a career change. So when I go out and set my informational interviews with the top 10 skydivers in the world, and I tell them my story, I want to have a really interesting story about what is taught me and driving me towards this direction. Okay. And I'm going to give you an actual example on this. So I had someone a long time ago. He had been the manager of a retail store, of a paint store, right? So he was in management of a paint store for a bunch of years, and he wanted to get into financial planning. Paint store management, financial planning. Don't see the connection, right? So when you asked him why, he said, well, my father passed away unexpectedly. I was put in charge of the finances, only to find out that the business he left in a shambles, that my mom was going to lose everything. The way it looked, she was going to lose everything. She was going to have no retirement. She was going to lose everything, and nobody knew. So I self-taught myself financial planning, did tons of research, was able to turn everything around, sell the business, and get my mother set up to a place where she now at least has an income and she'll be secure. And I never, ever, ever want to see other people go through that again. So if I can become a financial planner and I can help other people create that sense of security, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Do you think he had a hard time getting a job in financial planning? No. He didn't apply online. He didn't bother. He found the top 5 financial planning firms in the area, asked to meet with people there, and told them his story. Boom. That's it. That's what it takes, folks. So do you see what I mean? If you're going to convince people that you want to make a career change, there needs to be a story. Your personal brand has to connect the dots for them. And you got to dig. You got to dig and reveal that and put that out there. If that's what you want, you've got to explain why. So does that make sense to all my career changers out there? Personal branding, pulling the story together, building a platform is really key. Now, the other thing I'll tell you is that I've often had people who are getting into something saying, but I do have a lot of experience, JT, they just don't know it. Well, other aspects of personal branding include creating content, that you can put out on social media that educate people. So, I'll give you a great example. I have a sister who's been a nurse for many years. And this year in December, she's going to graduate and become a nurse practitioner, right? The one step below being a doctor. In fact, in the state of New Hampshire, she can actually open up a practice just like a doctor. So she has all this incredible knowledge. What better way to start to show people that than to share in her Facebook feed, in her Instagram feed, in various places, tips and things that she's been learning on the journey of becoming a nurse practitioner that really, enhance what she knows as a nurse. By dropping that knowledge to friends and family, what is she doing? She's branding herself around this career transition that she's going to be making and getting people excited about it, understanding it, building her credibility up. That's another thing that personal branding does. And that's another topic I want to get into, which is personal branding is about you serving people with your knowledge and information. When you serve them with your expertise, when you share your perspective, you're doing it from an intentional place of caring. You want to help the world. You don't want to brag and say, look at me. You want to say, here's what I think will help you. Here's what I want you to know. This is what I found curious and interesting and fascinating. When you do that, you're defining your brand. You're showing people what you care about, what you think about, what you value. And this is how they come to trust you. So that's another aspect that career changers can use. It's building up that content, which is what our personal branding class teaches you how to do so that you can distribute that content in a very thoughtful and intentional way. And there's a whole strategy behind that, but I can't get in that today. So the strategy to, posting and choosing what content to distribute is really important, but it can help you. Okay. So let's see. How do you create a personal brand if you're a recent graduate? Hey, Hannah. Well, first of all, I love this question. So you've just graduated from school, Hannah. What you lack for in experience, you make up for in enthusiasm, right? You're excited to start your career. There are obviously skills or things that you learned in school that you'd really love to get out there and apply. That is what you want to share with the world. So letting them know about the things that you hope to do early in your career, recognizing that you have a whole lifetime ahead of you to achieve these things, but at least you want to start out, and that this is what you're hoping to get out of your first job. That's the kind of focus that people want to see and hear. In fact, that's really important, Hannah, because you need to tap into your network to find your first job. And so they need to understand, okay, you don't have a lot of experience, but what do you care about? What skills do you want to use? What problems do you want to solve, and why? What problems in the world that you think are important, that you'd love to find a way to assist? That's how you educate people about who you are today. Hannah of tomorrow is going to completely evolve and change. And that's the other beautiful thing about personal branding. It's not a one and done thing, folks. It's a constant ongoing evolution. You're always revealing more about yourself because you're becoming a different, better person every single day. There's more to share. There's more ways for you to serve people as you gain more experience. So personal branding never ends, but it also gives you a chance to evolve and change. But you got to start somewhere. So Hannah, for you, it's simply, here I am, world. I'm ready to get started. These are the problems that I'd love to solve. These are the kinds of companies that I would love to serve. These are the kinds of skills that I would love to be able to leverage. That's what your brand is going to reveal right now. Does that make sense? Awesome. Marcella asks, how do you create a personal brand on social media when you really don't want your current employer to know that you want to leave? Yeah, so you're not talking about leaving, Marcella. That's a great question. You are saying, look, I'm a service provider to my current employer, okay? And this is what I do really well. This is the problem I solve, the pain that I alleviate, the value that I create, and why I love creating that value, because that's the other thing too, right? They need to see and feel that you really care about this stuff. So you are some form of subject matter expert based on that. In fact, all of us are. We all have some form of subject matter expertise in some way, shape, or form. That's what your social media presence is about. It's about, okay, I've got some knowledge in this area. This is what I'm going to share. Now, in our course, it's really fun. We take you through an exercise where we have you think about things like, what do people come to you for advice for? And what do you love helping people with? And we go through this exploratory exercise and help you hone in on a topic or two that you should be sharing in your social media. And then what we do is we show you how to create that content. So how do you, based on that expertise, figure out what you should share? What information is going to resonate with individuals? And there's actually, believe it or not, there's a methodology, a step-by-step process you use to do that. But you can't even start working in social media until you've identified what your subject matter expertise is. And then that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're working or not. What does your current employer care? You're out there saying, here's how, the knowledge that I have that I want to help others with free of charge. Here you go, free of charge. Here's the info. Here's things to think about. Here are things that I believe. Here are steps that I take to be successful. Here are the things that I've come to learn are most valuable when doing this, this, or this, right? It's our way of helping others. So that's what we do on social media. And, kind of circling back, we mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk earlier, and he's a great one to look at. Gary Vaynerchuk has mastered his style of branding on social media and the kind of advice that he wants to give, right? He's that no nonsense, get off your duff, go get it done, right? Let me give you some perspective kind of guy. And he's been really consistent in that and really good at that. You need to find your thing around that, Marcella, and then you need to go out there and make it happen. Okay? Excellent. How does one's personal brand tie into an elevator pitch? Thank you, Sandra. That is a great question. So elevator pitches, we do them a little bit differently here at Work It Daily. It's 3 sentences that you answer. So when you have a really good personal brand, Sandra, you're going to be able to answer these 3 questions really easily, which is, here's the problem that I love to solve. Here's the methodology or the process I use to solve it. And here's what I want to do with that expertise next. And believe it or not, that sounds super simple, but it takes many iterations to get there. You write it out, then you read it back to yourself, then you rewrite it and you work on it. And eventually your brand comes into focus. For me, I love to help people move their careers forward, right? I do that by using an innovative career coaching process that involves online coaching, a private, secure online community, and, customized courses, video tutorials. I use that with a very unique process. We call it Course Coaching Community, all done in a private, secure setting so that people can really get the trusted advice they need so they can remove the roadblocks and move forward. And now what I want to do is go out there and empower the world, because I believe that if everybody knows how to take control of their career, they're going to be able to change the game for themselves. They're going to be able to get what they want and deserve. They're going to be happier employees, and then we're going to have happy employers. I really think we can restore the relationship between employee and employer if all of us as individuals have the tools and resources we need to take ownership of our businesses of one. That's my belief. So for me, that's how I would engage in defining and pulling together my elevator pitch, right? This is the problem I love to solve. This is how I do it. This is what I want to do with it next. So when you can answer those three questions, think about how much thought and energy and research and understanding went into you being able to say those three things. That's what comes through in your elevator pitch and in your personal branding statement. So that's it. I challenge everyone here. That's your homework assignment. What problem do you love to solve? What methodology to use? What do you want to do with it next? If you don't know the answers to that, then that's why you join Work It Daily, right? That's what we help you figure out. You can come join us and myself and the team of experts in the community, all privately in a nice, secure place, not here in the big public forum, can help you with that. All right. Again, just speaking really quickly here before I come back and ask the more questions. Remember that today is the last day that you can get our brand new personal branding online course at a discount. So go check it out. The link is in there. Big discount to users who sign up for it today. You get all of the video tutorials as well as 30 days inside the private secure community that I mentioned. So you're going to be with other individuals who are also working on their personal branding. You're going to meet other individuals, and you're going to work with me and the team of trained experts here to answer your questions, work through the modules with you, make sure your branding is in check, make sure everything looks good to go. So if you've been looking for something to really take your career to the next level, this is the class. This is the one that gets you taking full ownership of your business of one. Okay, so be sure to check it out. All right. So let's see. Yeah, it's, I actually see a comment from Edgar. Edgar says, Gary Vee is very good. Sometimes his advice is dangerous. I love that comment, by the way. This is another thing about branding. Your branding, I just wrote an article about this for Inc. magazine about Mark Cuban and how his personal brand is all about changing the way people think about rich or becoming wealthy. So if you get a chance to check that Inc. article out, it's pretty interesting. But it kind of ties in with what Edgar mentioned here about personal branding. You can like somebody's personal brand, but some of the advice they give might be a bit edgy. It doesn't mean just because you like their personal brand that you have to follow every piece of advice. You have to trust your gut. They're not always right. There can be pieces of their brand that you respect and trust and admire, but you might not do everything. And I do think that Gary Vee is an example of that. I think there's some of his advice that not everyone is in a position to take. But that's like anything. When people are giving advice for free out there in the branding world, it's your choice whether or not you take it, right? That's really the key. So thank you for sharing that. And I think that we all should know that, because sometimes people say to me, oh, JT, I don't know if I should put my stuff out there. I'm going to get some criticism. I'm going to get people who don't agree with me. Well, heck yeah, of course you are. And great. We can't please everyone. Not everyone's going to like everything we do. They're not going to like who we are. They're not going to agree with our advice. It doesn't matter. You're not speaking to everyone. The goal is not to create a brand that speaks to everyone. That's where people mess up. Trying to create, and I keep saying that word create, the perfect brand is where people fail. Instead, revealing or documenting is another word, documenting your brand and owning up to the fact that it isn't perfect, but it is what it is, and it is what you believe. That's where people will trust you. Not everyone, just the people you need to trust you, the people that you're looking to align with. And the one thing about putting your brand out there that is so good is that if you do put your brand out there and you find that you're not getting the trust and respect of the kind of people that you want, well, then you can do some reflection. Then you can say, why is that? Am I looking for the wrong audience? Are the people that I've been wanting to connect with not the right people? Or is my brand, there's something up? There's something I need to do, look at, change about myself in order to make my brand more compelling to these individuals. And that has to come from within, because you can't just create and fake the brand. You're going to have to really look at yourself and your beliefs and your values and your experiences and the things that you've done and say, what has to change there so that what I reveal about myself, what I brand, is in alignment with what these individuals need. So that's another aspect of branding that we get into about that. Really, can you just see, I love this topic. You're going to see me talking about this topic nonstop right now for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like it's a topic haven't talked about enough. It's, this idea of personal branding has been around for a couple of decades. A guy named Tom Peters wrote about it on Fast Company and it blew up. But nobody's really gotten people to understand how critical it's become because of our online world and our social media. All of us have a brand now. That wasn't always the case, but all of us have a brand. So I do feel this is vitally important. I also think people don't know how to take ownership of their brand, and that concerns me. It really concerns me because if you don't have ownership of your brand, it can lose control. You don't want to have to take ownership of your brand at a negative, critical time in your life, like being fired, some kind of scandal, some kind of stressful situation. Maybe you lose your job, you're unemployed, you can't find one. You don't want to be in that place and not have a solid personal brand. So understanding and owning it now while you can is really important to me. And I say that because we also know a market correction is coming. So that's the last reason that I've gone on this mission with Work It Daily. And you're going to hear a lot more about personal branding from us, because when the market correction comes, we're going to have a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs. And, it's not just here, it's globalization. Every day I'm hearing about companies that are saying, I can get 5 workers in another country instead of 1 worker here in the US. So globalization is changing our entire workplace and how everything functions. And more people that never in a million years thought their job would ever be in question or their employability would ever be a problem are going to find themselves with a problem. Not the people that have done personal branding, because when you do personal branding, there's this wonderful added benefit where people respond and react to you, where you learn about opportunities, where you hear about trends for other individuals, where you see feedback that gets you thinking. Branding is a dialogue when done properly. I mean, for me, branding has been a game changer. Here I am in New Hampshire, right? This all started for me. I didn't intentionally set out to get into personal branding or become such an advocate for it. But here I was in New Hampshire wanting to be able to raise my children and have a satisfying and successful career in a place and in a type of work that people said it couldn't be done. And had it not been for me literally stumbling unknowingly into some personal branding techniques, that I was able to learn its power and tap into it. And so this course is all about my happy mistakes. That's the only way to describe it, is the unknowing journey that I went through to understand this power of personal branding. And that's why I feel like anyone can do it and that you really need to do it. So, there's the case for why, whether you join us in our online class or not, you get some help with personal branding, and why we're going to be talking a lot more about it as part of Work It Daily. Okay. All right, team. I'm going to take a few more questions from all of you, and then I am going to have to jump off. So I have another live session to do in a little bit here. So definitely important for you to ask your question now. Helen says, post a presentation. I've been asked to submit examples of my training designs. It's not customary to do this. What is your advice? Oh, yeah. So we are seeing a lot more of this. Companies are asking for more and more and more from the candidate before they make the decision. And it's always a little unnerving when they're saying, we want to see your designs. We want to see your information, right? I think that you never want to say no, because they're using it to base it on a situation. But what you don't want to do is give too much away. So I think that there's a way for you to give your designs with watermarks all over them and trademarks, copyright all over them. I think there's a way for you to give partial information and say the rest of the information is available if I get the job. I think you have to ask them by saying, can you tell me why you want to see the designs and how that's going to help you evaluate your decision on whether or not I'm the candidate, which will then help me determine what to share with you. So you want to ask those questions to get a sense of why do they want this stuff? And you can frame that in so that it can help me determine what's best to share with you. And then you be very careful and you share some of it and say, I can share the rest of this with you. This will give you an idea, but I'll share the rest of this with you when I get the job. Okay. So we have to be careful of that, folks. We all have to, as businesses of one, can we be taken advantage of? Absolutely. But to shun an employer when you're this far along in the process, probably not a good idea, because if you could say, no, I'm not going to give you samples, the other person says yes, and the other person gets the job. So you've got to keep the relationship going. Don't react negatively or defensively. Try to understand what they're looking for and offer them something that will work without you giving it all away. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, and I'm seeing some comments from everybody already starting to see this. Jacob says the company he worked for decided the majority of the managing team in the Latin American region were laid off because they did not want to move to Latin America. Yeah, so we're seeing that. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. You're validating my point. You guys are going to see a lot more of this very quickly. Brace yourself. You don't even realize it's happening. Let's see. One more question. Okay, so do we have any more questions today? Again, folks, not talking job search today. On today's office hours, it's all about personal branding. So sticking to those questions. If you have regular job search questions, you know what to do. Come join us at Work It Daily. We have a monthly subscription, no setup fees. You can cancel at any time. You get immediate access to all of our videos, which help you on any question you have. But more importantly, you get access to our private, secure community, where you're with other people, not out here in the public, you're with other professionals, but also where you message one-on-one privately with the career coaches, with myself and the other team, and where we're able to help you with salary negotiation, resume review, cover letter review, LinkedIn profile review, interview prep questions, how to respond to recruiters, how to reach out to strangers and build your network, all of these different things, how to define yourself for a career change. Anything related to job search and career development can be handled in our subscription. What's separate is the personal branding class. That is a very special class that I'm talking about today. So be sure to check out both our options. Maybe you just need some help. You need some career coaching. You can get our monthly subscription. Or maybe you are really ready to invest in yourself and build your personal brand, in which case you should take advantage of the special pricing on our course today, okay? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's Frankel says, the best advice is the name of your company, Work It Daily. It's the only way to succeed. Yes, sir. That is absolutely the truth. Could not agree more. Daniela says, I'm a very go-get-it person. How do I brand that? Yeah. Daniela, I love that you said that. So you tell people and you say, look, I'm a go-get-em person. If there's something to be done, I just go and do it. And I know sometimes that intimidates other individuals, and I try to be respectful of that, and I try to be sensitive, and I always tell people that if they feel like I'm going too fast for them, or if I'm, at a pace that's not comfortable, to let me know. I don't ever want to scare people away, but you're going to see real energy from me. It's how I operate. It's how I get results. It's how I feel the best when I'm working at that energy level. That's what you just say. It's okay to say that. It is what it is. When I was years ago in the corporate world, before I started this company, and I was training and I would travel around the country, when I would go to the South, I would start all my presentations with, hey, everyone, I'm from the North, and I talk very fast. So here's the deal. If you think that I'm going too fast at any point in time, you just raise your hand and you say, slow down, right? And we would all joke about it. So I would use that fun, that humor, to kind of explain, hey, here's who I am. So with that go-get-em person, you're going to find your own fun way to say, hey, look, I'm the Energizer Bunny. I'm a go-get-em person. I'm going to, make a path. I'm going to, create a wave. And so if I'm splashing too much, you need to tell me to, slow it down, something like that. Just find your way to explain that. And that's, all of us are capable of doing that. All of us are capable of assessing our strengths and how they sometimes create weaknesses, and then explaining that to the world. That's transparency. That's revealing yourself. That's the good stuff. That is the good stuff. And the funny thing is if you can't say that about yourself, so by default, Daniela, the fact that you can say, hey, JT, I know I'm a go-get-em person, that's a real sign of emotional intelligence, because you recognize it is what it is. It has its strengths. It has its weaknesses, but you are who you are. There are a lot of people that don't recognize these things in themselves, and they can't articulate them. And that's a bad personal brand. That means that you don't know who you are and how you add value in the world, right? Or your secret sauce. And so all of us should be much more introspective and be able to articulate things like that about ourselves comfortably. Make peace with it, embrace it. Yes. Very good. Yeah, let's see. How do you brand yourself when you want to go back to what you've been doing, you have a degree in, after you've been doing other things in graduation? Oh, that's a great question. So again, that's kind of a career changer question. You have the degree, but you don't necessarily have the experience. So what's going to happen is you're going to put together your personal brand. You're going to start showing people that you do have this knowledge and this experience through your brand. You're going to be sharing that information. And then you're going to want to have those meaningful conversations with people in the industry, in the roles that you're interested in doing. and sit down with them and say, what do you think it's going to take for me to get back into this? I have this degree. These are the things that I believe. This is the experience I have. What do you think it's going to take for me to get back into this particular area? They'll tell you. And the most important part is by having that conversation with you and getting to know your brand, they might say, you know what? Let me introduce you to the hiring manager. You don't need experience in it. You've got the degree, you've got the passion, you've got the transferable skills. Somebody can go to bat for you if they know your personal brand. If they don't, how can they market you? You haven't marketed yourself. So Anna, you've got to pull that personal brand together. You need to connect the dots about you and why you want to get back into this, what your strengths are, what you bring to it, what your passions are, what existing experience you have. And then that has to be communicated out to the world so that they can see and understand that too. And I promise you, once you get out there and you start having those conversations and you're sharing those stories, you'll get results. Let's see. David says, my business brand is already developed. However, when people get to know me, highlight the professor brand in me, which is I just started to develop. Can I do both without losing focus? Oh, very good question, David. Yeah, you can. So you have some challenges in the branding world in the fact that like LinkedIn, there's only one way you can brand yourself. So if you've got a business brand on LinkedIn, then that's what you're going to brand. You can't have another profile on LinkedIn and have it be the professor one because they're going to conflict. And I run into this a lot. So people will come to me and say, JT, I want to do two different types of things. They're polar opposites. How do I do that on LinkedIn? And the answer is you don't. You pick a lane in LinkedIn. And what I would suggest is you pick the thing that is most evergreen. So the thing that is like consistently what you want to be known for over time, that would be the best and most foundational there. The good news is there's plenty of other places for you to brand the other aspect of yourself. So you could build a private group on Facebook. You could build a whole channel on Instagram. You could start a whole video series on YouTube. So what happens is in order to develop different brands, you choose different platforms. And so you want to think about which platform is best for which brand and then start there. And you're going to get, this is the beautiful part, you'll have different audiences. They may find you, you may be able to cross them, but most importantly, by really focusing the brands in two different areas, you'll have two different audiences. And then collectively, you've got a much bigger audience. So that is the way that we have you do it, at least here in our class. Excellent. Marcella says, you start doing informational interviews as part of your personal branding. What's the best way to ask this type of interview when you're trying to do a career change? Yeah, the challenge is just saying to somebody, I've done my homework. You're one of the top 5 people in this area, in this skill set. I would love to have a conversation with you to understand how you got into the industry, how you got to where you are in your skill sets, and the tips that you have for individuals like myself who are looking to change into that. So point out to people that they're on your top 10. They're on your bucket list. You need to be able to show people that aspect because that creates a sense of honor for them and a sense of focus of why you're doing it. So that's really the secret of letting people know, hey, I'm reaching out to you because I know you're special. I know you're different. I know the work you've done is important. Here's how I know. And here's what I want to learn from you. Right? In return, if there's anybody I know in the industry, if there's anybody I can introduce you to, I would want to return the favor, either now or in the future. I would definitely, you would have an IOU in your pocket for taking that time to speak with me. Right? Just laying it out that way, you should get results. Not everyone will agree, but you don't need everyone to agree. Once you get a few people to meet with you folks, this is the beautiful part. You have this great conversation with them, you bond, and at the end you say, is there somebody in your network that you think I could have almost as good a conversation with, somebody that you think I could really learn from maybe a different perspective or an added perspective to this? Would you be willing to introduce me to one person? Everyone can introduce someone to one person. But then that one person gets you your next person, gets you your next person. And all of a sudden, you're not having to blindly reach out to strangers and ask for informational interviews. You're just piggybacking off of that first one. That's really the secret there. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take this last question from Nare, which is, does experience with no degree, however, technical training, have any advantage for self-branding? Yeah. Once again, you brand what you have. So if you don't have the experience, but you have the technical training, you're going to brand that. But also with that technical training, there's going to be some values, some beliefs, some experiences that you have, some knowledge that you can share. So once again, folks, it doesn't matter what necessarily you have or don't have on paper. Branding is about revealing your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your experiences as they tie to that area of expertise. Branding is about you serving the audience in some way with whatever you have in your bag of tricks, right? Whatever you have, that's what you're doing. That's how you're creating that trust. So don't get hung up on, do I have the right credentials? Do I have the right degrees, the right credentials, the right experience? That doesn't matter. What you're documenting and revealing to the world is how you feel connected to this job, to this industry, to this career, to this problem, what you want to do about it, how you like to solve it, whatever it is, to help reveal to them, hey, you know what you're talking about. Okay? All right. I need to stop here. I'm sorry, folks. So a couple of reminders. Listen, we'll be back here next week, 1:00, regular office hours. Please, you have the rest of today to check out the big discount on the brand new personal branding class. It is awesome. It is a premium class. So if you're ready to do personal branding, today is the day, I'm telling you. And then secondly, job search in general, career development, problems, career coach. You need someone to talk to in a secure and private environment to get, maybe you've got very sensitive questions. Maybe you feel like your career situation is completely crazy, unique, strange. Nobody else has ever had it. I guarantee you that's not the case, but you probably feel that way. That's why you join Work It Daily. If you could solve all of your career problems by now just from a few simple videos, you would. Videos are great. They get you thinking differently. That's why we have our YouTube channel. We want you thinking differently. We want your mind opening up to new ideas. We want you to have aha moments around the roadblocks that you're experiencing. That's why we're here. But if you want to accelerate your growth and your success, you need a private and secure community. You need a group of trusted advisors, people who research this stuff and have the answers, okay? And you do that when you need it, And that's what the real value of Work It Daily is about. So if you've been coming here every week, hanging out with me, I'm psyched. Keep coming back. But this may be the time for you to finally try us and come in and see what I'm talking about. I can't tell you how every day somebody says, oh my gosh, I can't believe how long I waited. That was so silly of me. I had no idea this was what it was like. This is what it's like. If you liked this and you want to be able to do this whenever you need to and get motivated and psyched and get your results, that's Work It Daily. Okay? All right. Enough about that. It was really fun hanging out with you all. You know where to find us. Thank you again for stopping by, and I can't wait to see you all inside the personal branding class and our job search platform. Okay? Take care, everyone. Ciao.